A very good morning to everyone present here. Kindly request you all to please settle down quickly. My name is Sarah Nazareth, and I am a student of Bahadur Institute of Management Sciences, University of Mysore. And it is my delight to welcome all of you to the third International Conference on Knowledge Partnerships for Advancing UN SDGs, jointly organized by the Sustainability Platform Asia and the University of Mysore. The much awaited event is here, and it is a part of our culture to invoke the blessings of the Almighty at the beginning of any new venture. I call upon my peers to grace the occasion by singing the Nada Gite.
जय भारत जननीय तनुजाते, जय हे कर्नाटक माते, जय सुंदर नदी वनಗಳ ನಾಡೆ, जय हे रस ಋಷಿಗಳ ಬೀಡೆ. ಭೂದೇವಿಯ ಮಕುಟದ ನವಮಣಿಯೇ, ಗಂಧದ ಚಂದದ ಹೊನ್ನಿನ ಗಣಿಯೇ, ರಾಘವ ಮಧುಸೂದನರವತರಿಸಿದ ಭಾರತ ಜನನಿಯ ತನುಜಾತೆ. ಜನನಿಯ ಜೋಗುಳ ವೇದದ ಘೋಷ, ಜನನಿಯ ಜೀವವು ನಿನ್ನಾವೇಶ. ಹಸುರಿನ ಗಿರಿಗಳ ಸಾಲೆ, ನಿನ್ನಯ ಕೊರಳಿನ ಮಾಲೆ. ಕಪಿಲ ಪತಂಜಲ ಗೌತಮ ಜೀವಿತ ಭಾರತ ಜನನಿಯ ತನುಜಾತೆ. ಶಂಕರರ ಮಂಜ ವಿದ್ಯಾರಣ್ಯ ಬಸವೇಶ್ವರ ಮಧ್ವರ ದಿವ್ಯಾರಣ್ಯ, ರನ್ನ ಷಡಕ್ಷರಿ ಪೊನ್ನ ಪಂಪಲ ಕುಮಿಪತಿ ಜನ್ನ. ಕುಮಾರ ವ್ಯಾಸರ ಮಂಗಳ ಧಾಮ, ಕವಿ ಕೋಗಿಲೆಗಳ ಪುಣ್ಯಾರಾಮ. ನಾನಕ ರಾಮಾನಂದ ಕಬೀರರ ಭಾರತ ಜನನೀಯ ತನುಜಾತೆ. ತೈಲಪ ಹೊಯ್ಸಳರಾಳಿಗ ನಾಡೆ, ದಂಕಣ ಜಕಣರ ನೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಬೀಡೆ. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಶರಾವತಿ ತುಂಗ, ಕಾವೇರಿಯವರ ರಂಗ. ಚೈತನ್ಯ ಪರಮಹಂಸ ವಿವೇಕರ ಭಾರತ ಜನನೀಯ ತನುಜಾತೆ. ಸರ್ವ ಜನಾಂಗದ ಶಾಂತಿಯ ತೋಟ, ರಸಿಕರ ಕಂಗಳ ಸೆಳೆಯುವ ನೋಟ. ಹಿಂದೂ ಕ್ರೈಸ್ತ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನ, ಪಾರಸಿಕ ಜೈನರುದ್ಯಾನ. ಜನಕನ ಹೋಲುವ ದೊರೆಗಳ ಧಾಮ, ಗಾಯಕ ವೈನಿಕರ ರಾಮ. ಕನ್ನಡ ನುಡಿ ಕುಣಿದಾಡುವ ದೇಹ, ಕನ್ನಡ ತಾಯಿಯ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ದೇಹ. ಭಾರತ ಜನನಿಯ ತನುಜಾತೆ. ಜಯ ಹೇ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಮಾತೆ, ಜಯ ಹೇ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಮಾತೆ, ಜಯ ಹೇ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಮಾತೆ.
Thank you, Chinmay and team. I now call upon Professor Mahesh R. To introduce our guests and deliver the welcome address, as well as share a few words on the conference.
Good morning to one and all present here. Esteemed dignitaries on the dais, distinguished guests, invitees, participants from across the globe, research scholars, and my dear students and the members of the media. I deem it a pleasure to stand before you to welcome the dignitaries to this third international conference on knowledge partnerships for advancing the UN SDGs, organized by the Sustainability Platform Asia and University of Mysore, Bahadur Institute of Management Science, Department of Economics, Sir MV PG Center Mandya, Department of Business Administration, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar PG Center Chamarajanagar, in academic collaboration with Chiang Mai University and UN SCAP, the Economic and Development Division of the UN. Well, we are now going to deliberate for the next 2 days on a very, very contemporaneous and relevant topic. As you all know that the 17 SDGs goals were adopted by 193 members countries of the UN, and it is for transforming the world between 2015 to 2030, wherein the focus is on the people, the 5 Ps and the people, which ensures ending poverty and hunger, the planet, protection from degradation, sustainable consumption and production, urgent action and on climate change, prosperity, where the prosperous and fulfilling life, economic, social and technological progress in with harmony with nature, peace, to foster peaceful, just and inclusive societies free from fear and violence, and partnership, where there is a global solidarity focused on the needs of the poorest and the most vulnerable countries. This appears extremely ambitious and transformational vision, which encompasses universal respect for human rights and human dignity, so that every country enjoys sustained and inclusive economic growth. But at the same time, we have immense challenges in front of us. There is poverty, there is denial of life of dignity, there are disparities in opportunities, wealth and power, there is unemployment, and the COVID has also opened up many global health threats, and climate change is for real, and you can see that there are intense natural disasters, and events like Ukraine war has forced displacement of people, and there is environmental degradation and loss of biodiversity. In the backdrop of these challenges, it is apt for all of us here to deliberate on a few of these SDGs, 10 of them in the next 2 days under 8 parallel sessions, wherein the people from the academia, from the industry and from the civil society, they interact and they discourse and discuss about the pertinent issues, so that the younger generation who are the recipients of the benefits of this conference, the students in particular, going forward will have a different attitude and outlook towards life, and pursue their future endeavors in a manner that befits these UN sustainable goals, so that by the time we all leave this planet, we will make this planet a better place to live for the future generation than when we arrived. And I'm extremely happy that many of the dignitaries on the dais, I extend a very warm welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor G. Hemant Kumar, who has published more than a brief profile of him, more than 410 research papers, and more than 116 international conferences, and he has over 2,135 scientific citations, and H index of 22 and I-10 index of 51 for his research contribution as of now. He has given invited and plenary lectures in a large number of international conferences and meetings. He has successfully guided more than 20 candidates, and currently around 8 of them are working under his guidance. He has sanctioned many major research projects by DST, AICT, UGC, and DIET, and also international collaborative research projects to the tune of more than 5 crores. And he has been a chairman and member, has got in many academic bodies. Prominent among them is the chairman of the expert committee UGC, and is the chairman the committee for the Karnataka State Higher Education Council, and is a member state level committee for celebration of Golden Jubilee NSS by Government of Karnataka. He is a member Tagore Award Cultural Harmony constituted by Governor of Karnataka Raj Bhavan. He is the member expert committee, Government of Karnataka to frame guidelines for implementation of monetary system in all educational institutions of Karnataka. And is a member Nadoja Selection Committee, Kannada University, Hampi. Is a member of Advisory Committee of UGC HRDC, Karnataka University, Dharwad, to name a few. And is a life member of Indian Society of Technical Education, life member of Computer Society of India, life member of Indian Science Congress Association, and he has conducted several workshops and he has been conferred on many awards. He was awarded as Millennial Plagues Honor by Indian Science Congress Association in the year 2018, the Upadhyaya Sanman State Level Award in 2017 from Upadhyaya Muduvelle Art Foundation, Udupi, Teachers Day Award in 2017, Jagat Jyoti Award in 2021, Thailand Karnataka Friendship Award in 2021, Honorary Fellowship from Karnataka Science and Technology Academy, Honorary Colonel Commandant from NCC Group Headquarters, and very recently, a few days ago, he was even conferred with the Lifetime Achievement Award from UK Award of Excellence 2022. And it is he has also held many MOU programs between Hunghai University, China, and generating funds to the tune of 10 crores. He has academic collaborations with European Commission Education Indo-European Project, and he has been in many academic and administrative positions. He was the chairman of the Department of Computer Science, coordinator of Vijnan Bhavan, coordinator ICD, coordinator Chinese Program, University of Mysore, coordinator International Institute of University of Mysore, coordinator for e-governance, and has visited several countries as a part of academic and research collaboration on invitation to Naples, Italy, Sudan, Russia, China, Wuhan University, China, Geneva University, Stanford University, and currently he is the Vice Chancellor of University of Mysore. We are extremely happy, sir, that you have graced this occasion, and I extend a very warm welcome on behalf of everybody present here. I would now like to welcome Professor R. Shivappa, the Registrar of University of Mysore. He's a professor of social work, he's a social scientist basically, and he has also got many academic credentials to his credit. He's a fellow from Government of Denmark, Danida in 2000, and his work is purely on community development. He is an expert in steering projects on rural development, rural water supply and sanitation, and is a part of the knowledge of the development and application of participatory strategies like participatory rural appraisals, participatory learning and action, participatory monitoring wheel techniques, advocacy for policy reforms at government and intermediate levels in rural and urban development programs. He is an effective communicator with strong relationship management skills and hands-on experience in networking with consultants, NGOs, government agencies, and safeguarding the interests of the beneficiaries and the stakeholders. And he is a member of the EGS Consultant Bangalore, and he is an expert and he was teaching at the post-graduation student of CMR University, and worked with STEM Consultants Bangalore as a senior consultant on UNICEF assignment of training the civil engineers and CEOs of ZPs and of Andhra Pradesh government on social engineering aspects during the first quarter of 2007, and also worked with ANICID Mysore as a faculty for more than 5 years, and also worked as faculty with Bangalore University in Adult and Continuing Education Center. And we are extremely happy that he has a lot of professional membership. He is a life member of Karnataka Vidyavardhaka Association, Dharwad. He is a founder life member of Sakshi Trust, Housepet, founder life member of Nalanda Trust, Bangalore, life member Nirantaka, a social work team. We are extremely happy to have you here, sir. On behalf of everybody, we extend a very warm welcome to you, sir. Then we have our two keynote speaker. One is from UN SDG Conference and Youth for Climate Change, Mr. Sailesh Harivakt, who is going to join us very soon. live from Dubai, and is the chairman of YCWI Green Solutions and the first certified ESG director in India, and is an authority on social audit and corporate governance. And I extend a warm welcome to him virtually. And then we have another keynote speaker, Professor Lawrence Surendra, a chemical engineer with specialization in environmental and development economics. As a science and technology policy specialist, he has a record of over 3 decades of professional engagement and academic work in Asia and Pacific region and India, and related to teaching and guiding research in areas such as science, technology, and society, science, risk and uncertainty, public policy related to science and technology, environment and ecology, and sustainable thinking. On behalf of everybody present here, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. And I also extend a warm welcome to Professor D. Anand, who is presiding over this function, and he has been associated with this institution for more than 3.5 decades, and he has seen the entire progression as to how this department from 1974 has evolved to a stage where in another 2 years' time, we will be celebrating 50th year of the existence of Department of Studies in Business Administration, that is Bahadur Institute of Management Science, and is very much instrumental. He is a part of this growth process, and he has been our constant guide and a mentor. And on behalf of everybody present here, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. I also extend a very warm welcome to Professor S.J. Manjunath, my colleague, and currently he is the director of CPDPS, and he has been actively associated with getting all the skills initiatives for our students and all the students of University of Mysore. And he was also the coordinator of University Career Hub. And in that connection, he has done an excellent job. And I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Dr. S.J. Manjunath. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Prem Kumar, who is a professor of economics at Sir M. Vishwesvaraya PG Center. And his research and reading is focused on energy with special emphasis on renewable energy and rural energy security. I extend a very warm welcome to him. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Amulya, associate professor of our department, who has been very much very keen researcher, and she has taken many projects sponsored by AICT, sponsored by other funding agencies, and I extend a very warm welcome to you, madam. And I extend a very warm welcome to all the dignitaries on. Sorry, I just would like to extend a warm welcome to Professor Uma, who is a professor in Department of Economics, Sir M. Vishwesvaraya PG Center, Mandya. And I also extend a warm welcome to Anil Hebar, the president of TSP Asia. I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. I also extend a warm welcome to all the dignitaries, all the invitees, all the participants, and all the research scholars, and my dear students, and also the members of the media who are present here. With this few words of welcome and an introductory remark, I would like to extend a warm welcome, and I feel that the next 2 days will be really meaningful and an academic interaction between all these dignitaries with our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and a warm welcome to you as well. A well-known saying, if you light a lamp for somebody, it will also brighten your path. Lighting of the lamp is our practice, and as a symbol of dispelling darkness and inviting the joy of light, I request the dignitaries on the dais to light the lamp. I kindly request the students to arise for the same. Our chief guest for today is the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University of Mysore, Professor G. Hemant Kumar. I kindly request Sir to share a few words and address the gathering.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Very good morning to one and all. University of Mysore is conducting international conference on knowledge partnership for the advancing the UN SDGs. This is a very, very important concept where the conference is being conducting. First of all, I am very happy to inaugurate this conference. Professor Lawrence Surendra from TSP Asia and UN ESCAP Bangkok, Mr. Sailesh Haribhakti, and who will be delivering online lecture, Professor Anand, Chairman of BIMS, and all my colleagues, Manjunath, Mahesh, Amulya, and also Professor Kumar, and also Prem Kumar from different campuses from Chamarajanagar and also Mandya, and all the participants from various parts who have come as a resource person and also the participants, and all the students of this department, researchers of this department, and media persons, and all the invitees who are all present here. So first of all, I'm very happy to be here on the occasion that knowledge partnership for UN promoting the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm very happy on this occasion to inform you in the audience, under my leadership, we have organized All India University with All India University Association, the conference of All India Vice Chancellors. So on sustainable development goals on higher education. And finally, we have declared Mysore sustainable goals. Around 10 goals we have declared it in our conference as an output. So recognizing the role of the academic institutions play as the knowledge hubs and enables the individual to develop the competence and also skills to achieve SDGs. I am happy our university is organizing the Knowledge Partnership Conference today to explore the existing formats for the collaboration between the universities and to revise and harmonize their curriculum related to the sustainability. Business schools in particular play an important role in the development of the leaders who are socially responsible and regionally conscious and who is promising the sustainability and also prioritize the sustainability. We need such interdisciplinary conferences that can involve the participants from the engineering, management, social science, and natural science discipline, such that the discussions and the outcomes can find the ways and means to advance the SDGs through the knowledge partnership. The SDGs and the 2030 roadmap is an important pathway towards the sustainable futures. At United Nations, ESCAP's Asia Pacific Forum of Sustainable Development held in April 2016 a special event of building the knowledge partnership with academia and UN system knowledge platforms for achieving SDGs, has jointly organized by the UNESCO. So with this we have got the partnership with the University Global Network and also sustainable to the Sustainability Platform Asia. Mysore is unique place to host such conversations, rooted in India's cleanest city and also the emerging wellness city, and also where an expanding urban environment rubs up against the unique problems of the rural hindrance that we have. The conference, I understand, will examine the essential challenges that all the nations face in wake of the climate change, in making the difficult choice between militants and also adoption to tackle the climate changes. The choices made will determine the success and development strategies for sustainable features and becoming what we call the climate resilient societies. I congratulate BHIM, Faculty of Economics, Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Mandya, and also our university center in Chamarajanagar. Chamarajanagar is organizing this significant conference, though a very productive and useful collaboration with TSP Asia. TSP Asia and also the university and the United Nations ESCAP. Our universities need to forge and strengthen such collaborations. I would also like to highlight a point out that happy coincidence, our conference is being organized for 2 days in the next conferences of the COP. 27th, it is starting on November 7th at Cairo. So Cairo, we have got one conference and also it is coinciding with us. I also congratulate all the organizers and using the 10 SDGs that are very relevant to our university and Karnataka. I look forward the outcomes of this conference and how it can be influencing on our teaching, research, and interdisciplinary collaborations. So this type of conference, it is somewhat started by Lawrence Surendra. So where he motivated us to take up this work. So I had got very less time to call this work. Then finally, Professor Anand made a point that is at least half an hour we had to come. So I'm very happy to see you all. All the researchers are here. So the topic is very much essential for the certain or we call the things where currently we are facing the issues. So let it be a good thing as we did it in our Vice Chancellor's conference, Mysore goals for sustainability. Like that, let some goals, let it come through this conference. I congratulate all the persons behind it who organized this. I congratulate all the students and all the best to you in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now request our registrar, Professor Shivappa, to share a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Respected Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor G. Hemant Kumar, sir, and all the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, research scholars, students, and people who have come here to deliver lectures. I would like to just share few thoughts on this particular occasion. As our Vice Chancellor said, achieving sustainable development goals is not that easy. It's very difficult to achieve these goals. Definitely, if governments, institutions, and the organizations, if they mind very seriously and if they collaborate each other from their respective point of view, it's a little bit easy to achieve these goals. That's why we have these goals to be achieved for the good of human society, human beings all over the world. But people are working in isolation with their own agendas. Economics people, they are working according to their agendas. Commerce people, they work according to their agendas. Social scientists, they work according to their agendas. And also these management people, they are also working efficiently according to their agendas. But bringing all these people together is a gigantic task. And that's what these sustainable developmental goals, they need all these people. They need to come together. They need to share their experiences. They need to work together to prepare project plans. Then only these sustainable developmental goals can be achieved. Otherwise, we work in isolation, and you may be excellent in certain areas, but if they are not resulting in achieving these SDGs, it's not worthy to mention. I would like to mention one example. Because extensively I worked with the drinking water and sanitation context, especially providing drinking water and sanitation in rural areas. Potable water was a very difficult task. So I worked with the Danida and World Bank for about a decade or so. So we had so many challenges, and we had we dug bore wells, and we had electricity, and people were there to receive water, and this health department, they were there to create awareness. But achieving healthy environment, especially in providing drinking water and sanitation, was a very big task. So we did work, we organized communities, we organized village quality assurance teams, and these women teams we organized, and women were supposed to look after the operation, maintenance, and management systems at gram level, at gram panchayat level, and they are trained even in record keeping. People used to, in India and also in third world countries, people say that water should not be sold, water should be free. Then what is the argument? And we said, see, water is free only. Now also it is a free only. The incidental cost, for example, fetching water from the ground is not easy. Electricity is not easy. We will have to, electricity has to be produced, electricity has to be produced, and water has to be drawn from the, a very depth level, and somebody has to maintain, and you will have to buy machinery for that, and somebody has to be trained in operating, maintenance, and management. So all these aspects, these costs, they have to be borne by the people only. Otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable. But our governments, the popular governments, because of the political reasons, they say that it's a free of cost. Free we give. So electricity is not free. Underground water, it may be free, but electricity is not free. And pipes are not free. Earlier, we used to have instead of pipe, there used to be one rope, one bucket, and with the help of that rope and bucket, we used to draw water from the open well, and we used to give it to the people. Yes. Yeah. So we used to do like that. But it is all, this rope has been replaced by pipes, and that bucket has been replaced by motors, and people who used to do human energy, there it is being used as electricity, and the maintenance, the waters which were very near and dear have gone far and depth. So where is the solution? Unless and until people involve in all these processes, the sustainability is a very big question mark. That's why involvement of people in all the projects, wherever you are aiming to achieve sustainable goals, then only things will result in positive things. Otherwise, we talk about these goals, but we may not be able to achieve the goals properly. That's why, in whatever the respect, people's involvement should be there, and we should work together, and sharing of knowledges like this, in this kind of seminars or symposiums or workshops or exposure visits. Sometimes exposure visits would give a lot of good results rather than sitting and talking and sharing so many things. Exposure visits, organizing exposure visits of all the stakeholders, that would fetch good results. I think maybe very good experts are here with the different walks of life, and also they must have wonderful knowledge. So especially our students would get very good, benefit out of these deliberations. So I wish all the success for this today's seminar, and very neatly organized within a short period of time. I congratulate the department of, especially Bahadur Institute of Management Studies in association with the two of our PG centers, Chamarajnagar and also Mandya. They have organized it, and they brought people, from all over the world. People from Bangkok, people from Dubai. They are going to speak here. So it's a very good occasion. So once again, I wish all the best for the good deliberations during this seminar. Thank you very much. Thank
Thank you, sir. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor has been instrumental over the years in his service to the university, and it gives us great pleasure to facilitate him on this occasion. He's a good patron and a well-wisher to the Institute of Management Sciences. For the keynote address, I would now like to hand over the dais to Professor Lawrence.
Shailesh, we're very grateful to you that you have gone such a long mile to do this opening for us. Though you couldn't be with us, you are with us in spirit. And we've been really expecting to hear from you because this is an extremely important contribution to management students. But then they go into the private sector, as you've been saying so often in so many forums, that if the private sector doesn't pull up its socks and gets into the act of getting and changing its business attitudes and everything, we have no future in this country. Thank you for your contributions, and we're extremely pleased that you're here to speak to us. Please, Shailesh.
Thank you very much, Arun, and I'm deeply honored by this invitation to address this all-important conference on UN's SDGs. It's a fantastic context. The 17 SDGs have been absorbed by all of us, have become part of our DNA. And so we need to make sure that we are reminded every moment that the custodianship of planet Earth has now come into our hands. And we need to redeem that trust that nature has placed on us. There is nothing short of that I can say to bring home the importance of taking in the SDGs into our heart, soul, into our DNA, and then acting on it. Why is India best positioned to take a leadership role in the world in this whole exercise? You know, back in 2015, when the SDGs were first outlined, the first country to take aggressive role in implementation was India. And we created a whole framework. The government of India tried to percolate it down to the state levels. But within 2 or 3 years, we somehow lost that momentum. The good news for us is that we, in the last 2 years, have got reminded again of our cultural history, of the teachings of people that we have revered over the ages. And I'll start with that. I'll start with 2 people who in our consciousness have made a very vital difference and which connects beautifully to the UN SDGs. The first is the Advait philosophy, where we learned, and these are lessons that have deeply got ingrained in us, that the past is gone. Everything that is real is in the present right now. And it's our actions which are going to drive how the future will actually emerge. So that's the stage at which we are. And I'd like to put 2 very critical thoughts before this august audience. First, let's stop talking about relative contribution, past contributions. Let us now talk about absolute reduction. There is no time to waste in debates on who caused what. That is history. We have to stand today. And today, where are we? The Economist, in its latest issue, has already announced that we should give up the goal of 1.5 degrees centigrade rise in temperatures, because we are way past it and there is no way that we can turn this clock back. So the Economist is recommending very, very strongly that we should change our goals. I think it is conferences like this one which must stand up and say, no, because we are custodians of planet Earth, we need to get back onto that path and get back onto that path aggressively. This year, in 2022, planet Earth used up its entire allowance by July. So today, in October, in November, where we stand this morning, we are already into a deficit. The Earth simply cannot afford what we are doing. And therefore, what I'm going to place before you is a set of policy orientations, a set of ideas, which will start with the national level, percolate down to the state and district levels, but most importantly, will percolate down to every one of us in this room, every one of us who can influence 10 others to do what we are required to do by our planet. And there I'm reminded, and this is why our cultural heritage is so strong. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi gave us just one lesson, that you have to realize the fact that you are. And that realization is everything. That is what is going to motivate you and create the context for you to take these large challenges, take up these very big challenges of not accepting that the world's leading magazine says we should give up the goal of limiting temperatures to 1.5 degrees Celsius. I think it is for us in India to take the lead and transform this. And I'm saying that our actions should be in two broad buckets. First is the bucket of adaptation. So what do we need to do to prepare ourselves for these absolutely extreme events that the world has seen? And let me just narrate 5, which, to bring back to your memory pointedly, recent events, which are extreme climate events. China's drought caused the Yangtze to dry up, sparking a shortage of hydropower in August 2022, as recently as that. This is, an unprecedented climate event which has led to the destabilization in the second largest in terms of GDP nation on earth. France faced 3 heat waves this summer, with temperatures edging right up to 40 degrees Celsius. 45-degree heat waves were recorded, and this has not happened since 1947. This is affecting livelihoods. It is causing migration. It's the beginning of the challenge that we will face. Global wildlife populations have sunk 69% since 1970. This serious drop tells us that we now need to get serious about biodiversity, deforestation, human exploitation, and all the practices which have resulted in runaway pollution, which other species simply can't bear, and they go extinct. We are actually causing life to truncate, and this has to change course. British Columbia, is bracing for floods when the rains return in October 22. Canadian residents were warned to prepare for flooding. And we saw that in Canada, there was the devastating death, mass death of salmon, which is a purely climate-driven outcome. And we also saw that spectacle of those massive whales washing up on the shores of Tasmania and New Zealand. Emperor penguins are a threatened species. Now, this is what damage we have wrought. And therefore, very important that we as a nation create policies that will mitigate and actually achieve the goal of remaining custodians of our planet. So let me quickly change. It focuses on both mitigation and adaptation. But what is important is that these plans, including the funding plans, need to be detailed and need to be communicated down to every state, every city, and every district. Because it is only at that level that communities begin to act together. And that's what needs to be captured. And we should swiftly adopt the global goals on adaptation, linking them with the principles of locally led adaptation. It is very important that communities realize and recognize what is happening around them and make sure that they, through the leadership that they bring out from the community, get ready to face this. Give you an example from the information technology industry, which is one of the most promising activities out of India. Today, they are taking up the challenge that they will make sure that at least 50% of every service that they provide is carbon neutral. If they can take this up, India, which has more than 60% of its GDP coming from services, has a phenomenal opportunity to look at how we can render carbon neutral services across the services spectrum. Let's look at what the Indian government can do. And these are thoughts that you may want to propagate through this conference. What do we need to do to channel dedicated funding towards adaptation? One thought is to include climate adaptation as a distinct area of priority under the CSR regulations. And say that first voluntarily and then maybe with a little more persuasion, the 2% limit gets raised to 3%, but that one additional percentage to be used exclusively for an adaptation fund, which would include insurance, which would include many other actions that would be taken for adaptation. Second, create a separate national contribution fund like PM CARES or any fund that people will trust, which will enable climate adaptation, loss and damage to be funded, to be aggressively acted upon, and the utilization from it being tracked by the community, by the public. Incentive structures for implementation partners and entrepreneurs to avoid any fund leakage, and mandate corporates to assess physical climate risks. This is very critical because it cannot be done only by the community. It has to be done by every corporate acting in every place across the length and breadth of our country, so that adaptation becomes a natural outcome because of the realization of what risks we are running. Going ahead, social audits, geospatial imaging, tracking the outcomes, the impact of disaster. This is something that we began doing maybe 5-7 years ago in India. And now we are learning at a rapid pace to manage disasters far better. Very important to make public disclosures of how these adaptation and mitigation actions were actually put in place. Let's move from there to what actions need to be taken by corporates. We considered national policy level changes, and there are many others, and I'll point only two more and then move to the corporate ideas. We need to have an XBRL type common language to make sure that all the information relating to adaptation and mitigation gets reported, captured in databases, and becomes available for pull down or pull out by people who want to participate in this activity. Now let's look at how do we bring about innovation and very prioritized action in the business community by integrating climate issues in strategic planning of almost every corporate in this country. So therefore, what is required is a board level intent, policy on sustainability, learning for sustainability, preparing the ground for reporting on how prioritization has been done and how actions have actually led to decarbonization and a reduction of GHG gases or a reduction in the challenge to biodiversity. Net zero commitments must be made seriously, not just for scope 1 and 2, but also for scope 3. This is now widely getting realized, and the ISSB has taken a stand just last week that it is not sufficient to make your disclosures and your commitments only on scope 1 and 2. Scope 3 is equally important. In fact, it is much more important because the bad effects walk into your company from your supply chain. And this should be followed by the big advantage of being able to access green finance and green equity. Rollout of all products and services must be in a way that the green transition takes place across the entire ecosystem and not just within the entity that is trying to manage this. For this, it is important for universities like yours to incubate technologies at your level. Need to make sure that all these actions, the success stories, the outcomes that have been demonstrated in a big way get wide publicity and adopt global multilateral ESG climate frameworks, not depend on creating our own. I think the world is now converging because we have the International Sustainability Standards Board in place. And it's important that India simply make sure that this gets adapted. We have to embed climate goals in normal corporate strategy. But above all of this, this is the corporate responsibility for both adaptation and mitigation. If we have to be able to fulfill our Prime Minister's commitments, which he made in COP26, the Panchamrit commitments, it is important that it goes down to every entity in the country through the process of dissemination, country to state, to district, to company, to corporate. And I'll just narrate 4 or 5 ideas and thoughts, which at an individual level, we need to perform in terms of adaptation. First is the creation of consciousness about what actions that we are performing are leading to any carbon footprint. Very important to get conscious of what footprint we are creating. So that once that consciousness is there, then we will take action to reduce and mitigate and think of alternatives to make sure that footprint is reduced. Action number one. Action number two, communicate. Bring families, bring communities. Make sure that the leadership arises to make all actions in priority, reduce the negative impact we are having on our planet. Responsible consumption, for example. Why do we need all the packaging that we are so getting used to bringing in and throwing? The entire analysis shows us that the landfills are full. There's no place to actually go out and make sure that the non-biodegradable waste that we are generating can get actually utilized or neutralized. 3, what is it that we can do to encourage companies that we work for to adapt those policies which we talked about a little while ago? Because it is the employees who will create the challenge, will create the desire in the corporate. If they want to retain the best-in-class employees, they will need to cotton on to making climate issues a part of their overall strategy. This becomes a responsibility of us as individuals. 4th, once we have actually done and taken these actions, make sure that they get communicated. I'll give you the example of a wonderful small town called Madukarai. What they did over there is a complete community base. Entire town got involved in creating a sustainable way of living. So everybody was taught the idea of actual separation of garbage. Starts from there. Everything was done by members of the community. Collection of garbage was supported. The taking of it and placing it in locations where it could be processed. You know that the biggest incinerators that we have are the cement and steel furnaces and kilns. That thought had not dawned. India does not have a policy for construction demolition waste being reutilized as building material. This is the kind of advocacy that we as individuals can perform. So what happened in Madurai at the end of this whole exercise that was undertaken by one corporate, ACC Limited? They encouraged this whole process to get set in motion. So every home today has some green in it. Potted plants, hydroponics, aeroponics, all of that is prevalent across the length and breadth, every home. Garbage is separated, vermiculture is done. Very high quality fertilizer, natural fertilizer is available. There is no waste strewn around the town. No plastic that you will find on the streets of Madukarai. The air has become cleaner. The water has become safer. That is the delivery that we as individuals are capable of. And finally, above everything else, it is very important that this commitment does not remain for a short period of time. It has to become sustainable. So I would end by saying that it is the collective responsibility of us as a nation, of us as members of a state, of a university, of a corporation, and of us as individuals to make sure that we get ready for adaptation and mitigation. Good news that I want to share with you is India is ahead of schedule in terms of establishing renewable capability. Now, the chance is for us to show that the capabilities that we have developed will be utilized in actual use of power. India has also started adapting EV vehicles, started with two-wheelers, but we will soon move through the entire value chain. We now need to go across the board and make sure that we truly remain and become the custodians of our planet. There is no other home that we have. There is no plan B. And therefore, we all need to put our might together to make sure that we save the future for our grandchildren. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shailesh, if you can still hear me. I'm not on mic, Lawrence Surendra. Really, thank you so much for taking such trouble arriving in Dubai on the way to your home and speaking to us. We are privileged and we hope one day we can all see you personally in Mysore. It's a beautiful city and you will come to us and speak to us personally. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. If we can take your patience a little further, my colleagues from the UN are also online. I will not give my keynote address at this point. The director of the Environment Development Division, Ms. Dr. Sangmin Nam, who as soon as after I discussed with Dr. Anand and Beam's colleagues, when I went and asked him, he immediately said, sure, we'll participate. Unfortunately, we had some health issues with our other colleagues, but in spite of it, they've agreed to at least participate online. Are they online? Have they come in? Have they come in? No. Have they come in? They're not yet online. Okay, fine. Then we'll just close up for tea quickly, 10 minutes, because I'm sure you're all, this is morning opening rituals. We are a very ritualistic oriented country. These things that we cannot avoid. Maybe the younger generation can change those practices, but this is very much part of felicitating our elders also. So thank you for your patience. We'll quickly break for tea, and if you don't mind, I think the tea will be ready, no? Yeah, tea is ready. I hope it's not cold. Come back in 10 minutes. We will start the next session with a message and the next panel, and I'll try to slip into that in terms of managing time. Life is about managing time so we can save the planet. Please come back in 10 minutes quickly. Hey, time, but Dr. Anand very kindly insists that I finish it now, and we'll try to manage time. Lunch may be a little late, but we'll make the lunch break shorter. Okay. So I had given a PowerPoint, which hopefully will come up on the screen. I'm not going to take very long because originally I inserted a keynote to manage our time with Shailesh, who's an extremely person with very tight engagements. Is the PowerPoint there? It's not there. It's okay. Doesn't matter. I basically titled my presentation as Healthy Citizens, Peaceful Societies, and a Healthier Planet. This particular title, Healthy Citizens, Peaceful Societies, and Healthier Planet, was a title of the concluding chapter for a very significant UNESCO book on water, energy, food nexus. The nexus is also something that at least the students here can try to look at, which is being published by Springer Nature. We fought with Springer Nature and made sure it can be open domain so that anybody can access. Because, you know, even publishers with academics can become very greedy. If you publish in Springer Nature and you want your own print back, they'll ask you $25, $50. And I even told UNESCO I won't write the concluding chapter unless, and we won the debate, it'll be very soon out. And I chose the concluding chapter. It's a very wonderful book on Southeast Asia, East Asia, and water, particularly the kind of issues on water and energy and food. I think for ourselves and for the young people here, apart from what Shailesh told you so pointedly, so succinctly, I'm not sure. I really thank Arun Subramaniam to have brought him. In such 30 minutes, he summarized for us our duties as human beings, as citizens, and how we should also put government to account. I hope I'm not asking you to take my title as your slogan, but I think there can be a future for this country only if you have healthy citizens, you have a peaceful society, and therefore contribute to a healthier planet. Healthy citizens is extremely important. Yesterday, I met one of our PhD students from Mandya, and she was doing something on aging. And we got into a conversation about the differences in demography of old people, young people within our own country, between states, for example. In that context, we talked about the demographic dividend. If you go and Google demographic dividend in India and look where we are in terms of dividend, okay, southern states are doing much better. And demographic dividend is almost equivalent to Southeast Asian countries. But the rest of India is in a very, very poor state. What it shows is that we are an extremely unequal society. We are not going towards equity and equality. And our inequity and inequality has accelerated at a very rapid rate in the past few years. This is terrible. In my own life and work as an economist and as a social scientist, and in terms of field work, starts long back, when there are so-called conflicts between communities, we label everything as communal conflicts. But communal conflicts are only like when you have a fever and you have a rash, it's only the symptom of something deeper. Unemployment. Youth have nothing to do. They're readily available and they can be summoned for anything. And you know, in this country, when I say anything, we know what it means. You know what it means. Because we live in a more peaceful area and so on, sometimes we don't reflect it, but it will also ultimately reflect us. So peaceful society is extremely important. For the sake of the younger people here, and we may not have done the connection to the SDGs, in 2015, the world leaders at the UN General Assembly adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. I've had a debate within my colleagues in the UN, why 17, not 15, not 16. And I told them there should be an 18th SDG called happiness. Maybe you can create the 18th agenda SDG called happiness and create happiness indicators. And this all available. And we know what we are in our happiness, in the happiness index of the world, where India is. But it's you have to be happy. After the 2016 agenda was PPT has arrived. I always arrive late like our Indian trains. So after 2015, in 2019, see, I won't go into details of the mechanism of how the SDG is done within the United Nations. There are regional conferences called Asia Pacific Forum and so on, in which TSP is actually been participating. And then at the global level, they have what is called the High-Level Political Forum. The High-Level Political Forum corresponds to the UN Economic and Social Council, and it is the same status. And every year in July, it meets and reviews, states make reports and so on. In 2019, why I chose 2019 is a year before the pandemic. The UN Secretary General said this: direct economic losses from disasters have increased by more than 150% over the years, with losses proportionately borne by vulnerable, disproportionately borne by developing countries, and wealth inequality risk undermine efforts to achieve sustainable development. They threaten to erode social cohesion. This is very relevant in our context. Our social cohesion is being frayed terribly. We can't afford this. Women have to go out to the streets, and they should make sure that there's peace there. There's no riots that breaks down, and that they can return home safe. Last night over dinner with our group, we were talking about different experiences our own professors have faced. It's for you to ensure that social cohesion can happen. And the UN SDG says all these inequality and others risk social cohesion, entrench insecurity, and dampen process. Rising intolerance in many parts of the world threatens fundamental human progress. The nexus among inequality, justice, inequality, and lack of sufficient, governments, all these kind of things make government further hinder the necessary conditions for sustainable development. I won't go, but this particular point I just want to talk. This is UNSG is the next point. The point that I'm focusing here is on the pressure on our biodiversity, which Shailesh already spoke about, the way in which our land use patterns are changing, and how land use patterns are so connected to revenue departments and not to environment. I myself, a 7-acre organic farmer just 15 kilometers out of the city, and I call myself a displaced farmer because I'm surrounded by real estate, and the rest of, when I'm not speaking to good people like Dr. Anand, Dr. Uma, and Dr. Mahesh, and all our nice colleagues here, he knows very well. I'm spending time at the Taluk office battling revenue officers. People ask me, why are you spending so much time? Yesterday, Joe DeCruz told me, pay money and do it now. I said, no, it's a moral issue. Second, but I'm telling you this for the sake of the students. It's not trying to talk of my life. When I retrieved half an acre of encroached land by a real estate dealer, people in the village came and thanked us. Some of them touched my wife's feet. That's the state in which we are, in which yesterday we talked about not only policy gaps, policy complete disorientation, but at the ground level, we have no way to look at where landscapes are changing, land use planning is going on, which then makes it very difficult to integrate natural capital, ecosystem services that they provide, and so on. And if you talk in a very broad sense. Now, there are any amount of literature available post-COVID. I'm sure there was a lot of scientific work before that on the impact of these changes of disruption to landscape. For the people from Karnataka, for my example, this railway line to Ankola, we don't know what viruses it will set off. But it's very clear, even COVID as a pandemic, it was very clear the kind of disruption to land, the kind of ways in which we open up the earth produces viruses, that unheard of viruses. And they mutate. We know in the case of COVID. And in the case of COVID, it transmitted from animals, whatever, to human beings. So changes in habitat types are creating a prevalence of infectious diseases. This is worrisome. Okay, it's worrisome for elderly people like us because elderly people are very vulnerable to such health issues. But it's much more worrisome for people like you. For people living in Bangalore, I'm sure your lungs are safe. In Delhi, Delhi pollution controls life expectancy by 70 to 80%. Data is available. And what does it require in Delhi to reduce the pollution? Not the stubble burning in Punjab. If everybody made sure that their wet garbage and dry garbage is circulated, the literature available, studies available, it will reduce Delhi's pollution by 35% up to 45%. But of course, we can take an attitude to say the rich people are killing themselves, so let them kill themselves. But the poor take the burden of it much more than the rich can. So, and more importantly, as Shailesh said, is the impact on your future generations. In a talk with our BEAM student, and I think with others, we talked about equity in this generation, which we call intergenerational equity. And we talk of equity between generations, which is intergenerational. From an equity point of view, however, I can say I'm a responsible human being. We collectively, as older people, have contributed to shorter lifespans to you, shorter, putting your future at risk. Václav Havel, this former president of Czechoslovakia, a very famous writer, you can go and read him. He wrote a very good piece in the New York Times in which he said, when millions of species, Shailesh referred to 69%, millions of species are dying every second, every minute. By the time we finish this conference, so many species would have disappeared of all size. Why should we worry about the survival of human beings? Human beings can also die. Why should we worry? But then he asked a moral question. Who are we to decide that you don't have a future? Why should we decide that the younger generation should commit suicide? Collective suicide, if we don't do anything. And that's a very important point, because it's a question of the moral stance of our responsibilities. Because you have to look at the globe and everything, next slide, as a closely linked system. And it is that system linkages that is contributing to the dying of our planet, our unhealthy citizens, people, and so forth. And why, therefore, both in a personal sense, in a social sense, collective sense, planetary sense, we really have to rethink our lives. I've already spoken to our BEAM students about measuring their ecological footprint. It's very easy. There's a website called Ecological Footprint. You can go every day and check your personal ecological footprint, and where all you can reduce, you can try to reduce. You can say, like our St. Joseph's University students here, first MSc batch, that we are collectively contributing to this small percentage of decarbonization. Okay. So I also I talked to all earlier, so some of the people here, about all these discussions on climate change. But does that mean despair and hopelessness? No. The very fact we organize these conferences, the very fact we bring people like Shailesh, the very fact we put so much of energy and time is because we work on hope. Hope for future generations. And Václav Havel again says, hope in this deep and powerful sense is not the same when things are going well. Or willingness to invest in enterprise, obviously headed for early success, but rather an ability because something is good, not just because it stands to succeed. The more unpromising the situation in which we demonstrate, that's where we are, the deeper that hope is. Hope is not the same thing as optimism. You can say I'm an optimistic individual. It is not. It is the conviction that something good will come out, and the certainty
that something makes sense and it will have an impact for you and future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now call upon our chairman, Professor Dianand, to share the presidential remarks.
Esteemed colleagues, invitees, resource persons, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, I don't take more than 2 to 3 minutes, maximum 3 minutes as a formality. I can recall the words of both the keynote speakers, Mr. Sailesh and Mr. Lawrence, Surendra. At the end, what touched my heart from the Sailesh speech was, for us, there is no second home. We cannot make people to search for another planet to live. It is the responsibility of all of us to leave the world in a way where the next generations can live happily as we lived so far. That is the ultimate objective of sustainable development goals envisaged by the UNO. I do remember the statement made on the day of declaring the 17 goals along with a mission statement. The mission statement, framed after completing first 15 years as the millennial goals by UNO, was aiming to transform the world through the power of knowledge by mitigating problems like unemployment, ill health, poverty, and all sorts of inequalities. All the goals, events, and the indicators set are aiming at making the world a better place to live by everybody. When I started thinking on that line, Lawrence Surendra's words once again made me to relook at it when he used the word equity and equality. The world is really facing the dearth of these two, wherein in a country or in a world where we are living, still a greater majority of the people are deprived of their own rights to live just like other fellow human beings. This is the time for everybody to look at them with concern, with a concern. Sustainability development goals need not be always focused towards the physical infrastructure, the trees, mountains, animals, and things like that. Along with that, we should also care for our fellow citizens who are with us, fellow mankind who are with us. Unless we keep this world a better place for everybody to live with minimum dignity, minimum love, affection, kindness, these are the things that we need to preserve these days and pass it on to our next generation. Then only, as Surendra aimed at saying, the peaceful society will emerge. Healthy citizens, peaceful societies, and the healthy planet can happen only when each one of us can understand the pain of others and respond to that in the way it is possible. If that can be achieved with this 2 days interaction, deliberations, discussions, and all, this is the best contribution that we can make in retaining the world, at least in the present form. If not as it was 100 years back, to retain the world, to protect Mother Earth in the way she is supposed to cater, feed the future generations in the same manner that we enjoyed. I'm sure with the deliberations, with renowned scholars from different parts of the country and the world, this will happen. Both the students and the faculty and all the participants from different colleges and the universities are going to get the benefit of these deliberations. Without taking much of the time, I once again wish all the best for this conference and happy stay for all the invitees, for all the guests who are here. If there are here and there small hitches, bear with us. sustain that. Let our relations continue for longer. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. This brings us to an end to the inaugural session, and I would like to call upon Professor Uma HR, a professor of economics from PG Center, Mandya, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, one and all. I stand here to deliver a formal vote of thanks. I just wanted to tell you that this day we are here to participate in third international conference on a knowledge partnership for advancing the United Nations SDGs. And first of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our Vice Chancellor, Professor G. Hemant Kumar, who has been here in spite of his hectic schedule to participate here and to inaugurate this wonderful conference. In his absence, I extend a very warm vote of thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor. And also we had our Honorable Registrar, and being an academician, he shared his experiences as a community manager, and I extend my vote of thanks on behalf of this conference organizers and also on behalf of all of you to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Honorable Registrar, Professor Shivappa. And my thanks to the chairman of this conference, Professor Anand, who has been chairperson of this Rani Bahadur Institute Management Studies. Thank you very much, sir. And this is a joint venture. TSP Asia has been collaborated with the management department, and also with Sir MVPG Center and Mandya and the PG Center in Chamraj Nagar. Sustainability is something which goes with cooperation and coordination, and together we can sustain. And this is proven in this conference. Probably this will be the last conference organized by University of Mysore, as two PG centers are going to be separated as independent universities from now onwards. So it's a happy thing that we are together and are able to make this as a function together. And this coordination and cooperation needs to continue even in the future. And I hopefully think that this is going to be a very sustainable venture on behalf of all the three departments, centers. And we have been through two wonderful keynote address, and one by Professor Shailesh Haribhakti and another by Professor Lawrence Surendra, two great academicians who have spoken about their opinions regarding sustainable development. And as you have heard, Professor Shailesh said, we are the custodians of this Mother Earth, and it is our responsibility to see that how it's going to be in the future. Sustainable development will never grumble over what has been in the past. So most of the time we'll be grumbling over our past, and we'll be quarreling over the past things. And it is time for us to think where we stand now and to work for our future together. And there the need of equality and justice are very, very crucial to sustain. We have to go together and with equity and equality and also with justice. So all these things are very crucial if you want to see a very sustainable growth in the future. And both these keynote address were very wonderfully dealt with these issues. And I extend my warm thanks to Professor Lawrence, who spoke to us, and also Professor Shailesh Haribhakti, who has been with us for half an hour online. So thank you so much, sir. And a special thanks to Professor Prasad, who has been instrumental in organizing this conference. And I extend my warm thanks to the faculty, faculty of Rani Bahadur Institute. And also I extend my Thanks to Professor Mahesh from Chamarajanagar PG Center and Professor Prem Kumar from Mandya PG Center for making this happen, and especially for bringing all these organizations and also the universities, PG centers, departments. I think Professor Lawrence Surendra has been a mastermind behind this, and because of his intention of bringing all these together in this conference is success. And I think the coming sessions will be very fruitful and all of you will enjoy this. My thanks also to the people, delegates who has come from different parts of the world, and I extend my warm welcome, and also I thank the participation of delegates and the student friends and also the research scholars who has been here waiting for the the sessions to start. And my heartfelt thanks to all the media friends and the faculty of the business management, Professor Manjunath, Professor Amulya, for being here and being instrumental in this conference. And I thank University of Mysore for providing this opportunity for us to organize it in this particular hall. Thank you one and all, and a very wonderful seminar going ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I kindly request everybody to arise for the national anthem.
भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंह गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा चल जलधि तव शुभ नाम तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा
No. I request Father Dr. Xavier and the panelists for the next session to come on to the stage while the director has gone to another meeting, so our colleague Hitomi Rank